Hello everybody, welcome back, and here I'm going to be doing my top 10 favorite moments from the show Naruto Shippuden, which is the sequel show to the original Naruto show, because a while back I did that, a top 10 favorite moments from that, and since there's so much to dive into for this show, I think this is like a nice way to do a review in a way of the show by ranking my favorite moments. So with all that said, I'm going to dive right into it. Oh, and also, before I really get into it, just know, since I'm talking about moments from said show, it's going to be a lot of spoilers. So if you haven't watched this show, then I highly recommend not watching this video until you've seen the show. With all that said, at number 10, we have Lady Chio saving Gaara. Now, we're going to start this list off back at the very beginning. This was like the first major arc, saving Gaara, because the main antagonist throughout this show is the Akatsuki, which their goal is to collect all the Jinchuriki and extract the tailed beast inside of them. Gaara having the one tails, Naruto, has 9 tails, etc. And at the end of the arc, when they were too late to save him, Lady Chio decides, since she was one of the reasons why they put the beast in him in the first place, she sacrifices herself to resurrect him, but in doing that, she took her, she died as a result. And it was such a really powerful moment and such like a really strong start. I feel like this whole arc, like all the stuff that happened was great, but that in particular was just so sad and so memorable to me. I just had to put it on the list. At number 9, we have Asuma's Death. Now, this was a huge shock for a lot of people, looking at reactions and stuff and hearing people talk about it. I knew it was coming because that was one of the spoilers I knew about going in to watch the show. But still, seeing how it executed and stuff, it just felt so, it adds so much weight and character, because a lot of complaints that I can understand people having, that's some of my complaints with Shippuden, is that a lot of the characters you grew up with in the first Naruto show, like Shikamaru, Kiba, Choji, etc., like all of their classmates, don't really get as much screen time here, because it focuses, there's just more focus on either new characters they introduce or the main characters like Naruto, Sakura, Kakashi, Sasuke, etc. So the side characters in the Leaf Village and all don't get that much screen time, I feel. But this was an arc. It's basically the Shikamaru arc, because 2 of the Akatsuki members, Hidan and Kakazu, are doing their thing, going after the Jinchuriki, and they're coming close to where Naruto is. So Asuma and their group go to intercept it, but he ends up getting fatally wounded in battle. And it was just such an emotional thing, and so much came from it. It was just such a great, it turned into a really great revenge arc for Shikamaru to get revenge and justice. And you saw another side to him that you never really saw, that dude cried and stuff. And I was like, whoa. So I just thought that was a moment I had to put on the list. At number 8, we have Obito versus Kakashi. Now, I thought, I've seen this fight, and just the whole build up to it and stuff, and just the shock, because not knowing who Toby was, and then finding out, there's just so many layers to this fight, that when the fight actually happens, I thought it was fantastic. I love how it was executed. I remember when watching it, it shows clips of them in the past fighting, sparring, and they see it current time, and you see how it just plays out. I just thought it was a great fight, personally, and there's so much weight and emotion and layers to it. At number 7, we have Hitachi breaking the reanimation jutsu. Now, there's so many moments with Hitachi in this show in particular that makes him one of the best characters in all of Naruto, but this is probably his most fantastic moment. Was dude comes back from the dead as used to be a villain. He breaks out of that trance by Kabuto, then goes and whoops Kabuto's ass. I thought that was really great. A lot of great banter between him and Sasuke, more closure, I'd say, between them. You learn more about Kabuto in this arc as well, and about his past. It's just a lot of depressing emotion stuff. I just thought the whole thing was great, and it's one of the best moments in the show for me by far. I just thought this was great, and how one person can do this much to save the day. I just thought it was great. Number 6, Kakashi Kills Ren. Now, this moment was the catalyst for so much of the entire Naruto universe. From this moment, Obito turns evil. the Akatsuki. He basically takes over the Akatsuki and stuff. He attacks Konoha and kills. He basically gets Naruto's parents killed by releasing Kurama. So much stuff happens from this. Like, a lot of stuff that happens meme-wise from this is from this one moment. It's just so crazy. And just you see it from different layers. You see it from Obito's perspective, obviously, not knowing, like, why would he do this and all. And then from Kakashi's, because he didn't want to do it, but she jumped in the way because a different village kidnapped her and put a tailed beast in her, and knowing she would lose control since she's, a bit younger, and she would eventually rampage on the village, so she knowingly sacrificed herself to make sure that wouldn't happen. But there's just so many layers to this. I just thought it was a crazy moment for sure. At number 5, Jarahs Death. Now, usually a lot of people have this like number 1 or something, and while it was really horrific and stuff, I just think the moments above this are so much better. But this was still a shocker because like I said, I knew about this, but just how it was executed, like he was at least able to get information out to his allies, but just the way he went out was so brutal and so traumatic. It was tough to swallow because you saw this character. You grew up, basically. If you grew up with the Naruto show and just in the lore, like, you've seen him throughout so much. So to see this happen is just so sad. And to know that it was his apprentice, the person that he trained, Pain, who did it, was just the icing on the traumatic cake. At number 4, we have Naruto's parents' deaths. Now, this was sad and depressing of itself because they just wanted to have a kid. They wanted to be a family. They're really laying in on that. They're like, oh, it's so sweet. And then Obito has to be a douchebag and ruin everything. And after Minato, the dad, defeats him, he has to stop the Kurama from destroying the city. And he realizes the best way to do it is to seal half of Kurama away with him, with that Reaper Death seal that the third Hokage did, which basically means that he'll die. But when Kurama sees that he's going to seal the other half inside of baby Naruto, he doesn't want to have that, so he ends up killing both of them. But it was all for nothing because he still succeeded. But it was just really tragic because Naruto went through so much pain and torture throughout the show, being ostracized from the village and stuff. And the beast that killed his parents was put inside of him, and just knowing how they went out, it was just heartbreaking, really. It's truly great television for sure, but it's still depressing nonetheless. At number 3, Kurama and Naruto become friends. I'll just call it that. So what basically happens is during the arc, when Kurama sees that Naruto is actually who he says to be, he's actually trying to help the other tailed beasts who have always been think of as nothing but like objects and pawns, and just they're living creatures themselves, and he treats them as equals and wants to befriend them. And seeing how the tide's starting to turn into the villain's favor, Kurama decides to finally accept Naruto as they finally accept each other as an equal, and he releases the barrier, and then he obviously upgrades into a really awesome form. But it was so satisfying to see this after everything they went through together, Naruto being with Kurama literally his whole life. And it was just really satisfying. The music that played, showing from the start to now, it was just fantastic, really great. At number 2, Naruto versus Sasuke. The final battle at the end of the show, that is the big one. What I love about this, like, I know it by a lot of people it would be number 1, but since this is number 2, we all know what number 1 would be if you're Naruto fans, but I'll just go through this real quick. So what makes me love this fight so much is not only is it really fantastic, like, it shows all types of fighting styles. They're in their big, like, Sasuke's in Susanoo, Naruto's the big nine-tails fox, and you see that they're literally destroying everything in their path, fighting. And you even see, like, they're fist fighting, they're getting all dirty, they're like screaming. It's really great. But what I love about the fights at the end, when they have like a heart-to-heart and Sasuke finally comes out of the darkness and they become friends again, it's so satisfying. He sees everything Naruto has done for him and how he cares for him, and It was just really great. The music, it even plays the classic Sadness and Sorrow music throughout this. I just thought that was beautiful. I thought it was really satisfying. It was really good. And I couldn't have asked for a better conclusion, really, for the show. I just thought it was great. Now, before I get to number one, I have some quick honorable mentions. Now, honorable mention number one, Might Guy opens the 8th inner gate. Now, this was insane on a whole new level. Just seeing how brutal and crazy the fight was, because he's willingly sacrificing himself, because it's said when you open the final gate, you kill yourself. But he's doing it to stop Madara, who basically became, I believe, the 10th Jinchuriki or whatever. He becomes godlike, and he's just giving it his all, and it was just a truly great fight. Honorable mention number two, Tobis' identity revealed. Now, this was such a shocking moment because, like, no one really expected it. Like, some people, I know a lot of people were theorizing on it, but when you finally found out that it was Kakashi's longtime old friend who he thought was dead was actually one of the main bad guys controlling everything, it was shocking. And really just seeing how someone who was so similar and so like Naruto to turn out to be such an evil, horrible person. And just, I mean, eventually you learn everything about why, but just the realization that he's one of the main bads, it was just shocking. And finally, honorable mention number three, Nedjis Death. Now this, I really wanted to put this in the top 10, but I didn't want the top 10 to be full of just people dying. So I put this here, but this was still shocking because one of Naruto's, like one of the kids that we saw throughout the show, in the original show, and one of Naruto's best friends dies in his arms, sacrificing himself to save them. It was devastating. Everyone was shocked. It almost broke Naruto. It was just crazy that he was, like, I was shocked that one of the kids, I didn't think that any of the kid cast, obviously they're teens now, but I didn't think any of them would really die. So to see that happen was just crazy. Alright, now number one, this is pretty obvious for Naruto fans, but no brainer, Pain versus Naruto. This is not only the best thing in Naruto in my opinion, but it has to be one of the best things in not just anime, but just in television in general. Just the so much happens in this, like not just the fight, but before, like while Naruto's training so that he can get stronger, so he can, defeat the person that killed his master. But while he's gone, Pain comes into town and literally destroys everything, kills fan favorites like Kakashi, Lady Shizune. I think I pronounced it wrong, but whatever. It's just insane. He even kills the old Toad, and it was like, whoa. And just how, like, what happened during the fight, like Naruto's doing his thing, but when it seems like all hope is lost, Hinata comes to try to lend assistance. She supposedly gets killed, at least it looks like it, because that was brutal. Naruto lets loose, and he almost goes full nine tails. It was crazy. And, of course, throughout this arc, he also meets his dad in his subconscious, and he knows who his dad is and stuff, and so there's motion there. You learn about the horrific stuff that happened with Nagato, who, created the 6 Paths of Pain, and you just learn so much, and how at the end he redeems himself by saving everyone and bringing them back, sacrifice. It was just such a beautiful arc, just the whole thing. I just thought it was fantastic. We had great action, great animation, great story moments, just truly, truly wonderful television. But with all that said, that was all my thoughts on my favorite moments from Naruto Shippuden. Have you guys seen this show? I really hope you did, because you sat through spoilers. But again, thank you all so much for watching this video. It really means a lot to me, and I'm real excited for this weekend. I'm going to see Venom 2 with a friend. I'll definitely get that video up sometime this weekend. But again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in that video. Bye!